Wake up. Wake up.
Where am I, and why are my hands tied behind my back?
You will answer our questions. Do you understand?
Sure, but can someone itch my nose real quick?
That's not important. What's important is who you are. What's your name?
It's Todd.
Where were you born?
That seemed kind of personal. I'm kind of uncomfortable with answering.
Your name is Alex Mason. You were born in Fairbanks, Alaska. In 1961, you served in a CIA assassination team known as Operation 40. Is that correct?
What? No, who the f*** is Alex Mason? And someone itched my nose! Thank you.
Let's have a thought experiment. If you burrow deep into the hollow heart of Activision, past the content-clogged arteries, through the boiling demon blood, and into the very soul of Call of Duty, what would you find? What is this franchise all about? Is it war? Competition? Collaboration? Absolutely not. When you get down to it and cut away all the fat, the lazy battle passes, the seductive skins, and the questionable characters, Call of Duty is really about one thing and one thing only.
Friendship?
Math. The answer was math. Count your kill streaks, track your skill points, empty your bank account. Basic arithmetic. And of all the Call of Duties, Black Ops is the king of maths, from its price-focused progression system to its questionable contracts, all the way to its wager matches where one could lose it all with a single bullet in one in the chamber, so they can end it all with a single bullet like any good gambler. And if that bullet to the brain didn't sting enough, the post-match shit talk would undoubtedly be the killing blow, cause these middle-aged men are just way too accurate for any teenager to evade.
Hey, your daddy look like Ellen DeGeneres.
Hey, f*** you, man. That's not true. Hey, it's time for dinner.
And Call of Duty Black Ops is my favorite installment for many reasons. The incredible maps, the variety of gameplay, and the silly additions like dolphin dives and camera spikes, allowing you to spy on the delivery man and those pesky Amazon package stealers. But it's not just the multiplayer. Black Ops had incredible zombies maps like Kino Der Toten, Ascension, and even the Moon, where one could put on their Air Jordans and ascend to the heavens like the icon himself, as you'll be dying moments later because those zombies got on moon shoes. And Black Ops just offered such a variety of experiences that you could never really get bored. It had the whole package, the holy trinity of Call of Duty: a stellar multiplayer, a fun zombies, and a remarkable, thought-provoking campaign with all the twists and turns, heroes and villains, death and laughter that one would expect from a good Call of Duty campaign. It's truly a work of mathematical art, a perplexing puzzle that'll get your brain working hard for the first time in months. Maybe too hard, as it required the audience to theory craft about what the hell was going on. Like, my undeveloped 16-year-old brain was absolutely blown by the dark elements, the compelling characters, and of course, the brutality of the Vietnam War, filled with guerrilla warfare, napalm cereal, and the uncertainty of who's the good guy and who's the bad guy.
I was the bad guy.
But before we can get into the story, we need to outline our main cast of characters for this drama, because things will get confusing with constantly shifting timelines and me as your narrator, because words, like math, are not my strength. Our plot has two main perspectives that it'll shift between. One, Jason Hudson, a highly intelligent CIA agent working behind the scenes to gather intel on the greatest threat to mankind, male pattern baldness. And the other, Alex Mason, a special operations soldier who can't do math good, and so like all stupid people, he takes it out on everyone around him with his mean right hook and even meaner mouth.
Kiss my ass!
No, it's 4. Do it again, boys. The secondary characters include the grisly Frank Woods and Joseph Bowman, played by Ice Cube, so you know he's deadly. Meanwhile, our main antagonists are exactly what you'd expect. Russian, cause it's always the Russians. The leader is Nikita Dragovich and his right-hand man Lev Kravchenkov, and they badly desire to turn the temperature up on this Cold War because Russian winters are brutal. Just ask the Germans and the French. And speaking of Germans, our final bad guy is German scientist and ex-Nazi Frederick Steiner, known for developing weapons of war and inventing the schnitzel, so he's kind of a good guy. And with that, our stage is set, and Act 1 begins where most stories end, tied to a chair in a dark room with mysterious men watching us. Your mother's wet dream. We are playing as Alex Mason, who is being interrogated about the meaning of the numbers. But as we've established, he doesn't know.
I'm not a smart man.
And like any good therapy, to get the answers, we must dig deep into our minds and uncover our trauma lingering in the subconscious, giving life to things that make us desire death, like our insecurities, our loneliness, and of course that time we got bullied in Call of Duty from earlier in the video.
I'll give your mama some good black spicy sausage.
How does that make you feel? Really hungry for some spicy sausage.
And with that flashback, we enter our first gameplay flashback, Cuba, 1961, because cigars at the Bay of Pigs are the closest thing we're gonna get to a nice spicy sausage. Mason, Woods, and Bowman are scouting out the local talent and looking to do a little murder, the standard Cuban vacation. The plan? To assassinate Fidel Castro, the biggest, baddest commie in the Western Hemisphere, Bernie excluded. Some Cuban soldiers strike up a conversation with them, but we don't speak Spanish, and I had way too much tequila, so let's just start swinging. Spring break, baby, so the boys steal a car because f the locals, and they escape through the power of drunk driving. And with that, Mason relapses back to the present, where they inject him with what I presume to be methamphetamine or Adderall, so the same thing. And with that boost in cognitive performance, Mason is sent back into his trauma, where he appears suddenly at Fidel Castro's military compound, filled with drugs, booze, and enough weapons of mass destruction to send Bush to the moon. They find Castro using guns and their slow motion superpowers, and like a real scumbag commie coward, Castro uses his own mistress as a human shield. Pathetic. But good thing Mason's a sharpshooter, as he puts a bullet right between Castro's eyes, making history and saving a fair maiden. We are definitely getting laid tonight, boys. She even brought guns, my favorite toy.
Crazy bitch. He uses a human shield and she still protects him?
Hey, what's wrong with being a human shield?
Boy, this Bay of Pigs invasion was definitely a success. Surely history is going to remember us fondly. Now, all we have to do is escape and we're fucked. Mason is captured, and when things couldn't get any worse, it turns out we killed Cuban Jesus as Castro returns from the dead to haunt us. Apparently, he used a stunt double as he was somehow aware of our plans. And so as punishment, Mason is not given the gift of death, but rather given as a gift to Russian bad boy Nikita Dragovich.
Okay, that's not good.
With a nose so crooked that you know he's crooked, which is bad news for Mason because this evil man has plans for us, and to make matters worse, I'm still pissed drunk from all that tequila.
He will know suffering beyond his darkest fears. I have plans for you, American.
That's cool, but like, do you guys have a towel or something?
We flash back to the present, and Mason's wild BDSM party is just ramping up. Apparently, Mason was sent to the Russian gulag Vorkuta for mysterious purposes, and this is our first great mystery of this story. They could have just killed Mason. Why keep him alive? I get that he's cute, but come on. And the interrogators agree, so they prod Mason like he's some kind of cow, literally using electricity to try and spark the answers in his mind. It's called electroshock therapy, and it's awesome. This sends Mason back into his trauma at the Russian Gulag Resort, known for their fantastic amenities like a gym, team building, and of course, free meals on fist-carried wheels. Ow! And here we meet a slightly familiar face, Viktor Reznov, the badass Russian from Call of Duty World at War, who single-handedly conquered Berlin using nothing more than a machete, the Rambo treatment.
What the fuck? I'm on your team.
But it turns out this fight between Mason and Reznov was actually staged to attract the attention of the guards. It's a classic prison bait and switch so that Mason can murder the guard and launch their attempt at escape. And according to Call of Duty law, gulag kills equal freedom thrills. It's in the rules. But these guards don't play by the rules, so the prisoners must rise up and take down the bourgeoisie and their fancy guns because we only have fists. No fair. And so the question becomes, how can we compete? Well, the answer to new technology is actually old technology. They're called shields, and the best kind of shields, human shields, because bone is harder than wood. Ow! And after sacrificing their comrades, Mason and Reznov make their escape using motorcycles, which are in fact more deadly than guns. But Mason manages to make it to the escape train. However, Reznov sadly drives like an old man and is tragically left behind to fend for himself. I am crushed. Reznov was my bestest friend in the whole wide gulag. We were 1v1 lovers, bathroom buddies, and he made the best knuckle sandwiches.
Please, sir. May I have another?
And with that nostalgic knuckle sandwich, our flashback ends, and the interrogators are as confused as you and me. They don't understand why the US government would trust Mason after being held at the Russian gulag and cooperating with Viktor Reznov, a known communist. Like, get your own ice cream. And so Mason explains the US wanted to use him as an assassin to find and kill Nikita Dragovich, because Mason is the best soldier the US has. He's a super soldier, and being the Brad Pitt of murder, Mason has major celebrity power, and thus is called to a meeting at the Pentagon, so you know it's important, especially because CIA agent Jason Hudson is escorting us himself. And so Mason and Hudson meander through the pre-9/11 Pentagon like it's an Arby's. No nut padding in sight or wiener revealing x-rays, besides the sexy ladies x-raying my face like I'm some sort of Greek god, meaning I'm either hideous or gorgeous, and there's really only one way to find out: the good old Greek hero Narcissus.
Damn, I'm beautiful.
It turns out Mason is more important than I thought, as he is meeting with President John F. Kennedy, known more for his death than his actual life. JFK instructs Mason to kill Dragovich because they've learned he is manufacturing weapons of mass destruction, and only America is allowed to do that? Bad boy. But suddenly, amidst their dull conversations, Mason begins daydreaming and seeing the numbers, and they tell him a very odd story.
Hey, can you, like, kill that guy?
And so suddenly Mason is flooded with bloodlust to kill the president, a seizure of death. But Mason is strong. His convictions are as powerful as his fists, and so he resists the bloodthirsty urge, allowing JFK to bang yet another day until a bang ends his day. But we'll get to that later. And at this point, we know something is seriously wrong with Mason's head, like wanting to kill the president, doing math, going to therapy. What kind of sickness is this? Like, talking is for nerds and old people. Just let me TikTok, shoot the bad people, and talk to the only person left, myself. That's normal, right?
Sir, you're having a schizophrenic break. I'm not even real. See ya!
And so to shoot the bad people, Mason, Woods, and Bowman are sent to dismantle Dragovich's overcompensation rocket, which was in fact built by German scientists, so you know it's deadly. Germans are in fact the best engineers. Just look at that schnitzel. Perfection. The mission starts off real rocky with too many rocks, last stand users, and rolling Russians everywhere. Oh my! And to make matters worse, their friend Weaver has been captured and tied to a chair. Been there, done that, and it's not fun.
I'm horny.
And so to combat this darkness, Mason and Woods add a little light humor and proceed to go full Austin Powers on the enemy. Yeah, baby, murdering some generic henchmen and dressing up as Russian guards because nobody will suspect a thing. My Russian is fantastic.
Эй, что это за шум?
Sika Bliat? Is that right?
And now it's time to go full medieval on their ass. Mason whips out his handy-dandy crossbow with explosive tips. The French longbow never stood a chance, and they narrowly save Weaver, but sadly, he's already lost an eye. And in my opinion, we should just put him down. But Woods has a soft heart, despite us not having time for soft hearts, because Dragovich's hard, metallic wang is set to launch, and who knows where it's going. It could be America, it could be France, it could be the moon. I mean, space and the colonization of the moon is, after all, the final scientific frontier.
What? Don't be absurd, George. That's clearly a shooting. Oh, that's a missile.
And so to stop the launching of Dragovich's rocket and save its potential recipients, the boys must battle their way through easy mode henchmen and destroy the big rocket mid-flight using their little rocket. See, fellas? Size doesn't matter, no matter what she tells you. And this explosion causes Mason's memory to start splicing again, and we are sent back to the interrogation room where everyone's patience is being worn thin by Mason's psychotic ramblings. He is completely and utterly consumed by the hunt for Dragovich, disregarding orders and questions like some sort of toddler or Rambo, and going Rambo Rambo contractually obligates Mason to go to Vietnam, where you'll want a full metal jacket because the apocalypse is now, or should I say was, because it's time for our next flashback. Vietnam, 1960-something. Woods, Mason, and Jason Hudson are shooting the shit before going into the shit because their military base is attacked by enemy forces, thus forcing them to battle their way through literal waves of Viet Cong and heavy Russian infantry. It's a slog, a grind, hundreds dead, nay, thousands. The horror they barely escape with their precious, unlimited lives, and after this traumatic experience, which undoubtedly will cause mental scarring, night terrors, and more therapy, Ice Cube just shows up all casual-like and decides to go full Compton on their ass by showing absolutely no chill.
Get that son of a bitch out my sight!
Damn, that was cold, Ice Cube. But I get it.
Now, with the entire crew back together, Mason and the boys are searching for a Russian defector with critical intel about the Soviets' plans. It's an important mission, meaning something is absolutely bound to go wrong. And just like that, our chopper is shot down out of the sky, forcing Mason to commit mass genocide in order to save the life of a few innocents, or partially innocent, as it's revealed the defector is none other than Viktor Reznov, our friend from the Gulag, who somehow escaped despite missing the getaway train. Perhaps a buyback, maybe a 1v1, but most likely through Browntown. And damn, does this boy clean up good. He went from homeless Henry to hunk Henry. Cut me off a piece of that Russian potato. Reznov reveals that Dragovich is planning an attack on the West, and we've heard this rhetoric before, but I ain't scared of no commies. They can hardly farm food, so forget about doing warfare. I mean, it's hard to function, let alone fight on an empty stomach.
Yo guys, can we get some Burger King real quick?
And so after securing Viktor Reznov and the intel, the lads must defend the evacuation point so that the weak and wounded can escape. It's a full Black Hawk Down situation, no cock left behind except Craig. Craig's dead as fuck, and he was the worst. Plus, the enemies are using guerrilla tactics to intimidate us. Not that kind, they are throwing smoke to obscure our vision and let our imaginations run wild with what may appear in the haze. Tanks, tennis balls, trolls, and just as the walls begin to close in around us, our Deus Ex Machina appears, a boat, allowing the squad to narrowly escape in athletic and fashionable fashion, putting on their Nikes and doing their absolute best Michael Jordan impression.
Well, that sucks. Let's go, boys.
And now we have our first true perspective shift, as we are now playing as CIA agent Jason Hudson, who is in Hong Kong doing what the CIA and China do best, gathering intel. But how exactly does one do that? Well, it's quite simple. You torture people. So through the power of glass food, we learned that Dragovich has ditched the rockets of mass destruction for chemicals of mass destruction, meaning we're going from wiener jokes to fart jokes, and it's a gas called Nova 6, and this knowledgeable rat helped create it, so he is very informative, squealing like a little piggy all the way home. But with great knowledge comes powerful suitors, as the Soviets show up to kill the informant, forcing Hudson to put on his own pair of Nikes and go full Peter Parker, traversing the rooftops of Hong Kong. However, not even shoes made in China can save unathletic white men, and so the crew must revert back to their basic instincts for survival, forming a literal monkey chain to save the mole. And just like that, Hudson totally redeems himself and his athletic ability with a heroic feat of strength, a Herculean labor. That's like 200 pounds on a single bicep. He's basically Batman or Christian Bale, but this tough workout is totally worth it because we are protecting a valuable informant whose knowledge of the gas and its manufacturing locations are the very key to solving this dangerous puzzle. And without his help, all hope of saving the world will be lost, and he's dead.
That was a bad guy, right?
So our informant goes out in true style with a bullet to the head and a sign to the back. That's not good for our heroes, but there is a silver lining here as he provided Hudson with one name, Steiner. Frederick Steiner, the real mastermind behind the Nova 6 gas, and it's their final lead to Dragovich. But before they can follow that lead, they need to escape this deadly city filled with Soviets and slippery roofs. And lucky for us, our Uber shows up just in time, drunk driving and everything. 5 stars, and with that, Hudson narrowly escapes with a new name on his list, Steiner, the mad scientist. And with that, we put a pause on this story because my computer can't handle a 60-minute video. So to recap, a mysterious interrogator is trying to pry information from Alex Mason's mind in order to find the Nova 6 gas being used by Russian terrorist Nikita Dragovich. And the key to this puzzle is Mason. Somewhere buried in his psyche is the answer. The numbers are the lock, and Mason's intellect is the key, meaning we're in big trouble.
The numbers, Mason. What do they mean? Where are they broadcast?
I don't know anything about any numbers.
Stay with me. 2 plus 2 equals 5. Wait, that's not right.